People, thank you for tuning in as PWFEmpire.com presents Pro Wrestling Talk Radio, the show where...
Tonight on PWTR, we will be discussing the holiday-themed episode of Raw, which included John Cena versus Seth Rollins, a little bit of Roman Reigns versus The Big Show, and Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt in a Miracle on 34th Street fight. The night opened up with the John Cena and Seth Rollins promo. John Cena came out and was talking about how he's not going to make excuses about having lost to Seth Rollins and at the steel cage match because he's a man and Seth Rollins doesn't know how to be a man. And Seth Rollins comes out and talks about how the Authority should be back in power and things that he needs to do to make that happen. David, what were your thoughts on the situation?
I'm finally first. Moving on up. Okay. As far as the opening promo is concerned, to be honest, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I think that John Cena saved the day. And here's why I say that. Seth Rollins came out there, and despite the fact that I felt that he's been improving, I feel tonight, I don't know what it was, maybe it was just the creative team, maybe it was just, the writers or something, I felt his promo was a bit boring, and Cena actually saved this promo, and he actually echoed a lot of what I was thinking. It was a very, very boring promo by Seth Rollins. As far as the match is concerned, I thought the match was really cool. Pretty close to pay-per-view quality. It was a little bit overbooked towards the end of the match with J&J Security coming in, but I feel like this was a really cool opening segment. It's been a while since we've gotten an opening match and an opening good match. I think it went on for about 15 to 20 minutes, so that was a cool opener. So, yeah, definitely enjoyed it.
I thought what was more interesting is usually when we get an appearance from Hulk Hogan, he's out there shelling something that doesn't need to be shelled. So I thought it was interesting seeing him out there not just shamelessly plugging the network the whole time or giving some random breast cancer speech. Not that breast cancer is like a bad thing, but I mean, I'd like to see Hulk Hogan. Breast cancer is a bad thing, but like breast cancer awareness is a bad thing.
I mean, everything is just going wrong tonight.
But it was nice to actually see him out here trying to like promote the stuff that's going on in the actual WWE. It was nice to see him out there kind of giving John Cena and Seth Rollins that much bigger of a spot, knowing that Hogan was out there in a holiday thing, and these people were really into Hogan, believe it or not. So it was interesting to see how this all worked together to create something that actually kept me entertained, even though it was the same thing that we usually get in an opening promo between whoever's on the top of the card at that point in time. And the match was also really good, but that goes without saying.
Yeah, as for me, I know you all know how I feel about Hulk Hogan. I really didn't give a fuck that he was out there, let alone the fact that he wasn't peddling anything. It was just whatever. He was just there for me. I thought that Rollins took some steps forward in developing his character, I guess, although he didn't really say much of anything different. We know that he wants the Authority back, but I want to know, what is Rollins going to do to make that happen? How is he going to attack John Cena to force his hand into bringing the Authority back? That's what I brought up like 2 weeks ago when he should have won at fucking TLC, but that's a different story. As for the match, yeah, they gave us a pay-per-view quality match, I guess, but to me it's just like, what was the point? Because there was no ramifications of John Cena having won this match. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make Seth Rollins good, but he's in a spot right now where he doesn't need to be made to look good. He already looks good as he's the top heel in the company. So it feels like something that they just gave us for the sake of giving us because they don't want to continue along the same trend as they move into the new year. So, I mean, it was a decent match, like I said, but when I sit down to watch Raw, and I've talked about this before, I want story development. I want to see the plot progress to where you get to the pay-per-view and you get the payoff of the plot. It gets me invested in the matches. I wasn't invested in this match because it didn't push anything forward. We started the night in one place and we ended the night in the exact same place when it comes to this feud.
For Monday Night Raw, I think that this past episode, by the way, hi everyone. This past episode of Raw, it was a departure from what WWE usually does with the holiday-themed shows, and I think that it was a nice departure. I think that sometimes they go a little too far in the cheesy direction when it comes to the holiday shows, but I think that their approach was it was a minimalist approach to the holidays. Of course, you had Ho-Ho Hogan there. I think, Manny, you would have had some fun with that. I would have thought, especially with your thoughts on Hulk Hogan, Hogan, that didn't,
Oh, and his ho-ho-hos. Nah, look, I don't care enough about Hulk Hogan right now at this point to even comment on this. I mean, it's not anything to talk about.
I was going in a completely different direction because I think it was this one word that you called Hulk Hogan on the show before. Yeah, I was thinking that you would have had a little fun with that, but I
don't know why I didn't make that connection. Oh, shit.
You're like, I'm seeing things completely different now. I get it.
Yes.
He was awesome. But, yeah, I liked Monday Night Raw and what they did with the whole Christmas thing. Like I said, sometimes they usually go a little too far, but I think what they provided on the show, it was this kind of weird balance. They didn't do too much from a story development standpoint, but they did give us some really good matches. They were rematches from TLC, and I could have very well seen all three of the matches that I saw. Well, except for the Christmas theme with Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt. But I could have very well seen all of those matches on another pay-per-view. But they gave them to us on Monday Night Raw. As far as John Cena and Seth Rollins are concerned, I'm really glad that WWE is giving Seth Rollins mic time. Because if you look at where he started out and look at where he is now, he's made grand improvements on the mic, and I don't think that that could have come without him actually being on the mic and getting that experience. And now we see that experience coming into play, because I really liked Seth Rollins' promo on Raw. He said what was the line? He said, "I am the standard bearer of the ring that you stand in." And I was like, damn, look at Seth Rollins. He's taking ownership over calling himself the future of WWE, and he's building up basically a stairway to that ultimate destiny of his, if that is where he is going to end up. So I say all around rousing success for Seth Rollins and John Cena. I really enjoyed the match, and yeah, nothing bad to say at all.
So one thing I noticed out of this one is it seemed like this was the week that I finally got what their actual feud was about. Besides just John Cena sending away the Authority, so I'm going to be angry at him. I don't think they ever really said it out loud, like, oh, Seth Rollins is doing this to try and get John Cena to bring back the Authority. I think it was implied when if he lost the match last time, he was going to lose his title opportunity. But have they ever really said that out loud before? Like, Seth Rollins is doing all this to John Cena, trying to get him to bring back the Authority to stop the torture of Seth Rollins or whatever that they were trying to peddle this time?
No, they didn't, and that's a failure on the commentary team's part.
Well, Seth Rollins specifically said that himself, though. He said,
yeah, and then they finally started going after it.
He said he was going to make John Cena and everyone's life a living hell until he got what he wanted. I think that that's good, though, that they give him the opportunity to do that, because sometimes I just like the commentators to serve as analysts. I don't want them to give away too much story, because when you kind of get in the way of the wrestlers telling the story themselves, it's basically like you're tripping over yourselves. Like, let it naturally play out, and I think that is what happened.
Like, I enjoy the idea that they took it and they had a whole evolution of the actual storyline, because it's not very often we see a story evolve. Like, from them being the Survivor Series captains in order for Seth Rollins to, like, have it on the line of the Authority, and then for him to ultimately get pinned, and then you go from that to now you have a situation where Seth Rollins can take away something from John Cena in return. And now it's kind of like Seth Rollins just wants him to bring him back and get everything back to how it was. It's kind of interesting to see how that whole like progression went through and how they've actually used the different steps along the way to progress the feud.
Anything more to say on this subject, or can we move on to what's up next?
I guess I have a little something to toss out there. Seeing as with how Seth Rollins has progressed with, his mic skills and his in-ring work, compared to what we thought of him when he first won the Money in the Bank briefcase, obviously everybody was like, oh no, it's no way in hell this guy's going to be world champion. From the point that we have him at now, what do you think about him as a future world champion? Disregarding, the road to WrestleMania, all the rumors of the reigns and stuff like that.
I said it months ago. I'm on board. I can definitely see it happening, and it's at the point right now where I wouldn't be mad at it, because what they did with him and the Authority, because it started out, Seth Rollins was a damn child. It's like Triple H was his dad, Stephanie was his mom, and you had Uncle Kane and the whole little family there, everybody coddling and protecting Seth Rollins. But through his partnership with them, each and every step of the way, he evolved into someone who could survive without the Authority. And I believe that's where he's at right now in the WWE. And if he was to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, well, maybe not the next champion, but the champion after whoever beats Brock Lesnar, then I get it. You know, I can only go a little too far. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
See, with Seth Rollins, I don't even think we're in a position where we're talking about if he wins. I think we're just sitting back and waiting for it to happen at this point. He's been built so well to the point where, like we said, he is the top heel in the company. And it's amazing to see the things that they did right with him that they didn't get necessarily right with other superstars as they're trying to build them up. And I'm not referring to Roman Reigns or anything like that. I'm just talking in general. Like, they put him...
Cesaro.
Well, sure, whatever. Even though he had his chances, but we'll push that aside. Rollins is a guy that moved into the Authority where he had Triple H as his mouthpiece in the initial parts as he was trying to build his character. And then as he slowly started to branch out, we started to see what he was, the subtle ways that he conveyed that in and out of the ring. And it developed he blossomed into a great superstar. And who would have thought that like 2 years ago when he was a part of the Shield? We all thought that he'd be the guy out there washing dishes, not even serving beer.
And you know, the funny thing about it is, Seth Rollins, he is like the opposite of Randy Orton at this point. And to be quite frank, I feel that Seth Rollins, he fits within the main event scene. He doesn't really stick out let's say we were to put, Bray Wyatt in a match against, I don't know, John Cena and, Undertaker or something like that. Some kind of weird main event of SummerSlam or something. That would be kind of weird in my opinion. But Seth Rollins, I feel that he can make a name for himself inside the championship scene. He doesn't really seem like he's out of place, like a mid-carder where, he would stick out like a sore thumb or something like that. So I feel that, he's heavily improved and he has like this aura about him now.
I do have one question to ask. With all of us acknowledging the development that Seth Rollins has made to a point where he could survive without the Authority, what do you all think about the fact that his number one goal in WWE is to get the Authority back? Is this a step back for him, the fact that he is capable of surviving without them, but he's set so much of his time and effort into bringing them back?
See, I think to answer that, you have to answer a question that you had asked months ago, and that's whether or not Seth Rollins is the smartest person in that faction, and he was actually playing the Authority. If Seth Rollins believes that having the Authority back is going to be to his benefit, where he can actually be the one calling the shots, then yeah, you would invest plenty of time in trying to do that. Especially when Brock Lesnar is the one holding the title right now. You have no chance in hell of trying to cash in on that man. So yeah, I think it makes sense from that standpoint.
Yeah, I have to agree with Manny. Brock Lesnar is down with the Authority. There is absolutely no way in hell that I'm going to have to go. I'm going to try and go against him by myself. I'm going to want to have the Authority on my side. I think that Seth Rollins has made it clear to the audience that he isn't, like Randy Orton during his title reign, basically Triple H's little puppy dog. I think Seth Rollins has made it very obvious that he's pretty cool, he can get the job done on his own, and that he doesn't need everybody to always come in to try to help him. But it doesn't hurt him having some people that support him backstage, and who better than to support you backstage than the Authority themselves?
Same thing, really, honestly. Not much else to input there.
Alrighty then, we're going to move on now to Seth Rollins' former Shield cohort, Roman Reigns. He had a match with The Big Show on Monday Night Raw, and the match ended in a countout, Roman Reigns being declared the victor here. I want to open the floor up to have a discussion about Roman Reigns. Anything that you can possibly think of to say. I don't even want to throw on any modifiers or anything. Just Any thoughts on Roman Reigns?
I mean, I think since he's been back, he's been trying to make steady improvements in his promo work and in his in-ring work. I thought he had a pretty decent match with the Big Show yesterday. So, I mean, all this Roman Reigns sucks chants and stuff that's coming out of the crowd. First of all, I think that was like 6 marks that were sitting in the crowd that was just sitting real close to the microphone.
3 drunk ones.
Sure.
I won't even say 6. Maybe 5 tops.
Yeah, but this whole idea that Roman Reigns sucks, I mean, no. He's still developing. I mean, you haven't even seen the finished product yet. How can you make the statement that he sucks at this point when he's just a young superstar trying to bud into his own? And I know a lot of people heap a lot of expectations on him like he's going to be the next big face of the WWE, but we haven't reached that point yet. So until you see a final product, let's reserve this harsh judgment of him. I mean, yeah, we say that he's not cut out to cut the long promos. That's because he isn't. That doesn't mean he never will be. So let's sit back and relax and see what blossoms from this.
Oh, yeah! Yeah! I'm going to start doing that every time we mention Roman Reigns. Yeah! Make it rain, man! Yeah, dude! Anyway, Roman Reigns, man. Somebody actually pointed this out on Twitter, and when I finally noticed it, I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Roman, I think you forgot something when you walked past the Titantron. You left your promo in your pocket. For the entire match, he wrestled with his promo in his pocket, and you can see it. It was, oh my! It might have been worse than John Cena pointing out that The Rock's promo was on his arm. So I guess it runs in the family. Anyway, the match with Big Show. I'm gonna have to agree with the fans. It was kind of boring, but I'm not gonna, be like, oh yeah, this proves Roman Reigns sucks in the ring. Because anybody that has a match with Big Show, usually it's not very interesting. I can only give you like on one hand how many good matches Big Show has had within his entire career.
One of them being with John Cena.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, I can't give you all 5 at this moment. I would probably have to research it. The countout was a bit weird for me. I think that, they're all into this. Let's make Roman look strong. I thought he was just going to knock him out, spear him, because I really don't want to see this at the Royal Rumble. I don't want to see a 15-minute match between these guys because nobody on the roster I don't even think Shawn Michaels could carry that guy to a 3-star match. Big Show is at a point where he's just a piece of a bigger picture. They never make him a top heel, but they never have him out like he's at the bottom of the card. He sucks. He's always floating in between the middle. He's like a filler dude. So as long as he doesn't have like a 15 or 10-minute match with Reigns, if they're going to do this at the Rumble, just make it a 5-minute squash match. But I really don't want to see this feud go on any longer than it has to. Roman Reigns, as far as where he's going to be at WrestleMania, I do think that some people are being harsh because Goldberg, you look at him, his mic work was never amazing, even when he went over to the WWE, but what they worked with him was with his strengths. So I think what they should work with Roman Reigns is what he's good at, and that is his spots. He has a really cool moveset, and people pop for that spear. He has excellent mannerisms. He has a really good look. I think they should work towards that. I think they should stop giving this guy promos because clearly he does not get it yet. I mean, it's to the point where he has to bring his promos out with him. So I don't think that they should have him talk too much. I think you should work with him. Brock Lesnar, he's not very good on the mic, although he has had some pretty decent promos back in his day, but that was more, 02, 03. So as long as they have him in, like, something with Goldberg, something with Brock Lesnar where he doesn't really speak much, I think he'll be good. But he does need to make some improvements. Like, he needs to make a lot of improvements by WrestleMania. But like Manny said, for me, I'm not going to wait until WrestleMania. I'm going to wait until around Fastlane. And if by then I'm not satisfied with this product, then this isn't really good for me.
What the fuck is a Fastlane?
That's the pay-per-view in February.
It's the Elimination Chamber this year.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd say with Roman Reigns, the verdict is still out there because I don't want to say he flat out sucks because there's a lot of things about the guy that have a lot of potential to be really good. He's just not there yet. And I don't know if it was his hernia surgery that set him back so far, but the WWE, if they actually do plan on sending this guy at Lesnar or Cena and winning the title off one of them, might need to consider calling an audible at this point and maybe even have him lose that match and still come out looking better for it because he's not there. He's not, whether it was his surgery or not, I don't know, but his whole, everything about him just seems to, it feels like he just debuted and he's still trying to find his niche inside of his character, honestly. Because he's got all these interesting things about him that could be good. It just feels like the WWE is spinning their wheels like, all right, we're going to try this approach to it this week, and that didn't work, so let's try this approach to it, but we're going to keep the fundamental concept the same. And I really do want to see this guy succeed because he has the look. He has everything that Vince McMahon's going to be looking for. So whether or not fans want to acknowledge it or even people on the internet want to acknowledge it, this is the kind of guy that will be the next big face of the WWE. And if it's not him, you're probably looking at them trying to go towards more of a Ryback with some of your smaller guys like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose being in the background. That's just the truth of who Vince McMahon's liked over the years, and that's the way it's always been. So until somebody else is in control of the company and making a lot more of the decisions back there, I have no evidence to start basing an opinion where somebody else being the top guy would be in Vince McMahon's best interest unless they really showed him something.
So, it should be Ryback.
I'm not disagreeing. I think Ryback's got that kind of potential if you do the right things
because of
with
his
it.
top 5 mic work, right?
Damn right. Feed me more. Revenge is a confession of pain.
Well, if you want to argue right now, he's not doing bad mic work because they don't give him the damn mic. So,
and that's exactly what you got to do, man. Work with their strengths.
Yep.
Dude,
so
there was one phrase that you used that I'm going to piggyback off of when you said Roman Reigns is not there yet. True, Roman Reigns is not there yet. Literally or figuratively. We're talking about WrestleMania and what we think WWE is going to do with him. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people out there, as presumptuous as they would say WWE is being, they're being equally as presumptuous, and it's making them hate Roman Reigns. That's the thing, because you look at him and you think WWE is going to have him win the Royal Rumble, go on to main event WrestleMania. It's like they're trying to get out ahead, and they're trying to be the... Oh, I hated Roman Reigns before it was cool to hate Roman Reigns, and they want to be the cool guys, and they want to be at the front of the pack. And it doesn't make much sense to me, because like I said, you're being presumptuous about where you think WWE is going to take him, and this is why I kind of like pulled back a little bit a few months ago, because I'm like, you know what, I like Roman Reigns, and I'm just going to stop giving these grand statements and things, because it's getting to some people, and they just want to be that person that jumps on the golden boy, or the guy that's perceived to be the golden boy. And I can't necessarily say that it's all their fault. WWE is at fault a bit also, and I said they were playing a dangerous game with Roman Reigns. The way that they were handling him on screen, not accentuating his strengths, with him winning Superstar of the Year, that's some shit that should not have happened, and they are trying to push him through the machine. And what machine am I talking about? The one that produces the bastardized baby faces. I called this months ago. When the Shield broke up, I think it was the next week when Roman Reigns was backstage spiking coffee and doing all of that stupid shit. I called it bastardized babyface syndrome. And I said, this is not a good sign. If WWE has plans for Roman Reigns and they maybe want him to be that face of the company, he does not need to go on that path. It's as if they're trying to corporatize something that should be natural. Like you can just start some kind of fucking factory and just push out, top guys, and it does not work that way. There is a reason why people liked Roman Reigns. There is a reason why Roman Reigns caught your interest. And if you go back on the reason why he caught your interest in the first place, then what the fuck is the point of putting him at the top of the card? What the hell is the point of featuring him? It's no point at all. So that's what they need to do. Go back to what worked with Roman Reigns, accentuate his strengths, downplay the weaknesses, and then move on from there. But if you have plans for Roman Reigns to be in the WrestleMania main event and you're set in your ways right now and you don't open up any room for any natural flow or anything like that, then I think that that's wrong. And I'm not even going to say that they haven't opened themselves up, because I think so many people are focused on Roman Reigns that they don't realize what's going on in other parts of the show. Because people can say that Roman Reigns is getting this huge push from WWE. There are people being handled extremely well on the show, better than Roman Reigns, who I would say right now are in a better spot to win the Royal Rumble than he is.
See,
so that's just something to think about.
Here's the thing, though. The problem is WWE at this point doesn't really have much of a choice, because you look at the roster and the way that it's constructed right now. If Roman Reigns is not going to be the face of the company that takes over when John Cena decides to retire or step away or fade into the background, then you don't have a face of the company. You have a collection of talented individuals, but you don't have that one guy that stands out that represents the company. And to piggyback off of something what David said, the idea that you take his mic away, you let him just be a badass, he goes on these badass sprees and just doesn't talk, and that makes him look more badass as a result. That'd be all well and good if Roman Reigns was just a component of what they're trying to do in the way that they construct the show. But if we're moving forward with the idea that Roman Reigns is eventually going to be the face that takes over for everything, he needs to be able to talk. And that's the bottom line. No one has ever been the face of the WWE who hasn't been able to get on the microphone and cut a good promo. No one. Be it The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Shawn Michaels. No one. He has to develop that. He has to develop that within himself. He has to find somebody to help him along the way, because if he cannot speak, then he cannot be the face. And if he cannot be the face, then WWE is in some serious shit.
So what you're saying is that you view Roman Reigns through the lens of this guy, by hook or by crook, has to be the face of WWE. That's the standard that you're holding him to.
I don't think they have a choice. Is there anybody... If he's not the face, then your face isn't on the active roster right now.
And for the people who want...
Sorry.
For the people who want to say, to piggyback off what Manny's saying, for the people who want to put a Dolph Ziggler or a Daniel Bryan or those type of guys in that same spot, first of all, they're too small and they're more susceptible to get hurt. And second of all, they're not that young. You're not getting a lot of return past the amount of years that you're really looking at. We act like Ziggler's like 26 and Daniel Bryan's like 27, but these guys are at least near 30, if not past their 30s right now, and who knows how many more years they're actually going to be able to wrestle with the style that they use. So WWE needs to be looking a lot younger, and when you look at the younger brand of talents, you don't have that much to pick for as far as your top guy type of material people go.
Well, that's the problem. You don't pick the next face of the company. It just happens. It has always happened that way. You look at people like Lex Luger, who they tried to manufacture. I wouldn't say Test was going to be the next face of the company, but they did try to push him as a top star. You look at, guys like, not a face of the company, but actually I'm not even going to say that because everybody's going to run me over. But the history has always proven that it's somebody that the universe picks, and it's always somebody that's kind of unexpected. Now, I can understand where Manny is going for, but you have to realize John Cena is not dying. This is not a broken man. This guy can continue. I think that if they were to...
10 years. 10 more years, at least.
I would say that if... Man, I really hope not, man, because Jesus. If you can somehow, let's say, get 2 or 3 more years of John Cena and build somebody else. Look at somebody else, maybe look, you know what? That was kind of a contradiction there. Jesus. look, the point is, you're not going to just say, okay, this guy's going to be the next face of the company. Even with John Cena, it didn't work that way.
They did say that. They said it explicitly, over and over.
What?
That Roman Reigns is they've pretty much said Roman Reigns is going to be the next face of the company, whether it be that darn Shield documentary on the WWE Network or any of the other.
See, now, here's the thing. No, the hell they did not. They did not say that at all. The thing is, the guy is getting a push. He is not the only guy in the company that is getting a damn push. But it's like, because we have people like Manny, we have people like me, we have people like Charlie who have talked up Roman Reigns so much. It's kind of like people feel as if they need to have an equally disparaging, so to say, opinion of Roman Reigns as the people who are excited about his future prospects in the company. And it kind of sucks that being a fan of someone has caused other people to dislike him and try to tear him down. But it's just, I don't like the fact that he is being held to a different standard than everyone else in the company when everyone else is fighting for the same damn spot. Like, Manny, you say, you know, we have two different systems. We have one where you have the face of the company, the corporate guy, so to say, and then we have the other one where it's just a collection of talented individuals. This is not me asking a rhetorical question or anything like that. I honestly want to know what your answer is. What's the problem with a collection of talented individuals?
From the period that Hulk Hogan retired and left and was content to live out his days, whatever, until he joined WCW, up until the period that Shawn Michaels took over, and really up until the period that Stone Cold took over, because that's when they really took off. That's what you get when you have a collection of talented individuals and no main face that people can get behind.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because if you look at Austin, to be quite honest, there wasn't really a face of the company by the time he came back in, mid-2000, because The Rock and Stone Cold were pretty much equal. I mean, you could argue, there is still a face of the company, both of them, but I would say that with a company, you should have a guy, two polar opposites. And, this doesn't, actually, this does happen in every era, because the golden era, you had Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. With the early 90s, you had Shawn and Bret. With the Attitude Era, Stone Cold and The Rock. I would guess with the current era we're in right now, I guess you could say John Cena and Randy Orton, but John Cena is really far ahead, the number one guy.
But see, even in all those cases, though, you always knew who was the number one guy. There wasn't a question. There may have been a question in some people's eyes with Stone Cold and The Rock, but no. Hulk Hogan.
No, Macho Man, when Hulk Hogan went away, it did kind of seem like, yeah, Macho Man is the guy. And you got to remember, Hulk Hogan did not have the championship for over a year. So it...
Bruh, we are not sitting here and going to say that Macho Man was the face of the company over Hulk Hogan, and that he had nearly the same impact as Hulk Hogan. I hate Hulk Hogan. Why am I the one sitting here defending him on this?
Because you jumped in front of me before I could call David's bullshit.
But yeah, that's the thing. So if Roman Reigns doesn't work out, then we may be dealing with a period after John Cena retires that we may not have a face of the company for some time. Because, David, I agree with you. A face is not mandated by the company. It's mandated by the fans. And if the fans don't mandate Roman Reigns, they're not going to mandate anybody as the guy, as Austin hot, as Hulk Hogan hot, as well, that's really the only two.
well,
you know what I say?
Talking about a mandate from the fans, did the fans mandate John Cena?
Yeah.
Do they mandate John Cena now?
No. Initially, they mandated him. We're talking about the start. Once you become the face, you're that face until you retire.
So who's to say that same thing can't happen with Roman Reigns?
That shouldn't be how it is, though, Manny.
Why? My whole thing is, why are we thinking about Roman Reigns being the face of the company? Why can't Roman Reigns just be, okay, we got we don't know who the next number one dude is going to be, so let's just leave him as X.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah. Why can't Roman Reigns just be that other guy that's like the alternative guy where, he just comes in, he's silent, beats everybody up, goes home, and that's some people's favorites, Some people, when you watch X-Men, you like some people, well, most people, Wolverine's my favorite. Some people say, oh, Gambit's my favorite. Why can't you just have just an alternate guy? He doesn't have to be the absolute face of the company, and that's where you have I feel like when you run into something like that, I agree with Jay, you do have heightened expectation. It's not really fair to that person. We don't really know what's going to happen with Roman Reigns. For all we know, Roman Reigns may lose the Royal Rumble and he might feud with Seth Rollins or something, and maybe he screws him out of the WWE Championship. We don't really know what's going to happen, but I don't think that until it actually happens, then we can actually, say something about it. But I don't think that Roman Reigns should be viewed as the number one dude yet, because we really don't know. And, obviously he's not ready for that, and I don't think we really know that. I think that he could be, a nice side, well, I wouldn't say that. I would say the other guy.
An attraction.
Yeah. It can be like the Undertaker. Undertaker is a lot of people's favorites, so.
I'm just going to put it like this. For all of the people who think that WWE is obsessed with Roman Reigns, watch this past episode of Monday Night Raw. Just watch it and actually pay attention. Watch. And hopefully you'll see what I'm talking about.
I'd also like to just point out that a lot of people are talking about WWE's trying to develop a new top face of their company. I think they've been doing a lot more to develop a new top heel with Seth Rollins. I think they've been doing a lot more to develop a guy who they can put on the opposite side of whoever that face begins to become while they start moving forward. We've started to see a lot more of the evolution of the bad guy, and hopefully they can actually use that to progress somebody into a role where the fans organically want to cheer for him and get behind this guy, especially if Seth Rollins actually ends up coming out of this feud with John Cena in some sort of a way on top.
And this is another example of what I'm talking about here. It's not as if WWE is going for broke with Roman Reigns. Look at what they have done with Seth Rollins. You want to talk about what they've done with Seth Rollins? Wait until we get to these W nominations later. Wait until we get to these W nominations, and you'll see. But, any more to say on this subject?
Yeah, just real quick. When we're talking about they're going to need to find the face of a company eventually after John Cena retires, and we're talking about that guy. It can't just be any random superstar that the crowd is chanting for, because as wrestling fans, we're going to cheer for who we like regardless. When you're talking about face of the company, from the company's perspective, they have to pick somebody that appeals to mainstream society. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, John Cena all had their appeal to mainstream society. They made their mark outside of the WWE as well as in the ring. So that's the guy that, when you think of wrestling, when the average non-wrestling fan thinks of wrestling, they think of John Cena right now. That's just the way it is. So if they're not going to have that guy, what? No, I mean in the present day. I know there's Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold too, but in present day, it's John Cena. When the average kid thinks of WWE, it's John Cena.
I mean, honestly, dude, I don't think there are too many kids that watch anymore.
Yeah, honestly there is, because we do this thing at my job where we have underprivileged kids who ask for Christmas presents, and I'd say about 75% of the boys on the list always ask for wrestling figures.
Well, actually, it's funny, man. I did something like that with my church, and 2 kids wanted. I mean, I guess New York is, that wouldn't make sense, as New York is I guess the kids at our church is just weird. But nobody really wanted anything wrestling related. They all wanted video games and stuff.
Okay, next up we have on the list, I guess we're continuing on with this Shield theme. They've just taken over WWE. Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt, they main evented this past episode of Monday Night Raw in a Miracle on 34th Street fight. And surprisingly, Dean Ambrose lost. I usually go into these matches foregoing conclusion that the face is going to win because you want to send the crowd home happy. It's Christmas week. We've seen a few times before in the past people placed into those situations. You had Randy Orton versus David Otunga one year. He beat the shit out of him and sent the crowd home happy. Then you also had, I believe it was it John Cena and Alberto Del Rio in like the Christmas themed match? I think it was
somebody ran over Santa.
Yep, that was it. And I think Del Rio, he like turned heel for that 1 week.
Yeah, he returned face the week before, but since it was taped, he was a heel.
Yeah, I remember that bullshit.
So yeah, basically Dean Ambrose, he loses the match, but during the match it was pretty exciting, if I do say so myself. Let me stop. Any thoughts on Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt main eventing Raw?
I thought this was a good match for Raw. I think if it had happened on a pay-per-view, I wouldn't have thought anything of it, really. But for Raw, it was decent. This is another one of those matches, though, where we start at one point and we end at the same point. I mean, it's no plot advancement in the feud. I don't even know if they're going to be feuding past this point. It almost felt like a wrap-up to what was going on and that they were going to move on to the Royal Rumble stuff. But the idea of Dean Ambrose losing, I'm completely fine with. I think that we've talked about this before, he's one of those characters that could take a loss and just keep going. There's nothing fucking happen. Not like Bray Wyatt, who needs his wins in order to move forward, even though this felt kind of like nothing. But, it was alright.
This is a little bit of slightly off topic, but when Bray Wyatt made his entrance, it usually happens when he makes his entrance, despite all the things that have happened to him this past year, losing at WrestleMania and going right down the card into irrelevancy and not even being on TV for a while. Every time he makes his entrance, I'm just completely captivated by what he does. And I think he's almost even more interesting without the Wyatt family coming out with him, because all the focus is now on him. He has an amazing entrance, and if Undertaker could go one more time and they couldn't do Sting and Taker, I wouldn't mind seeing Bray Wyatt and Undertaker. I think that Bray Wyatt, honestly, all right, listen, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm sick and tired of being beaten up. For what I want to be able to walk out without being verbally beaten up on the
like
sofa.
David, yeah, we've forgotten about the other crazy shit that you've said. Like, just walk away, count to 10, and
all right. I was going to say Bray Wyatt. If I had a choice for somebody to have beaten the streak, it should have been Bray Wyatt last year. I mean,
we told you not to say it.
You just couldn't resist.
Oh my god!
I mean, you opened the floor up. You opened the floor.
No, I shut the damn door. I shut it.
Wait.
I said stop.
Wait, if we're looking at who was built where last year, I think he does have a point. There is no one else on the roster besides John Cena who legitimately had any sort of build behind them that would have led to them beating the streak, besides, obviously, Brock Lesnar.
I mean, we would have gotten was Brock Lesnar. I don't believe that. If there's one thing that I will predict, I will go out of my way and predict, Brock Lesnar's not going to be here after WrestleMania. I mean, it was kind of... he already looks like he's going to kill everybody. He didn't really need to end the streak, in my opinion. But that's a topic for another day. The match with Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose, I thought that was a really fun match. It was a little bit weird seeing Dean Ambrose lose, because when you have these Christmas-themed episodes, they always send people home happy, especially for the main event. So I was kind of like, what? He lost? I was like, wow, okay. And then Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose technically did send people home happy because he crashed through the tables with Bray Wyatt, so I thought that was pretty cool. That spot with the one candy cane in the corner, that was really sick, man. Thought that was really cool. Dean Ambrose, he is disregarding Daniel Bryan, he is my favorite right now on the roster. He is awesome. From the guy he was when I saw him in FCW, when he only had tights on, he didn't even have armbands or anything. I was like, this guy's a loser, man. And now he is, spectacular. I wish nothing but the best for this guy. Raw overall, I cannot believe I am saying this, but I actually enjoyed that episode. That Christmas episode was one of the best episodes I have seen from, as far as all the Christmas episodes days released, period. That was actually really good.
Yeah, the thing is about it, I will agree with Manny, there was not much storyline development, but it was
matches were
an
good.
Entertaining show. They gave us some matches that could have or maybe should have happened on pay-per-view on TV, and they were all great.
You know me, man. If you want to make David happy, if you're not going to advance the storylines, at least give him some pay-per-view matches. I like free stuff.
All right, so I must be on the lone side of somebody who thought that this match was just bad. If you've got a bunch of weapons in the ring, and for one, it felt like every other match, they just wrapped it in something else this time. Like all these other matches we've been getting on Raw from these two, it felt exactly like those, except they just wrapped it in something else. The spot at the end with the candy cane was cool. That actually, I really enjoyed that spot. But it didn't do enough for me to think, I just watched these guys on Raw, then on Super SmackDown, on TLC, then they're going to be on Tribute to the Troops. I don't know. Wait, no, they weren't on that Raw and Super SmackDown. Were they on Super SmackDown?
They were on there just to talk about how they were going to be on Tribute to the Troops.
There's something that they weren't on. There was something that they were on. I don't know. I saw something else that was about similar to this, and I think I'm just over these guys touching at this point. I think they've done entirely too much with this, and they're starting to touch them so often and so frequently that it just kind of feels like it's the same thing over and over. And the thing that really bothers me about the ending booking of this, I get that you have to do it because it's your Christmas episode and you have to give them a little bit to cheer about towards the end, but they did that whole 50-50 booking thing where somebody wins, but then the person who lost gets up and gets his retribution before that person's able to get to the back. So it's not like it was this big dominant win because the other person was able to get back up and do something to them that inflicted damage, and nobody really comes out of it benefiting from the whole big situation. I mean, you make Dean Ambrose look a little bit tougher from being able to get up after he was pinned and go do something to Bray Wyatt to cause him harm. But at the same time, you make him look weaker because if he's able to do this much stuff and climb up that ladder and jump off of it and push him to the table, then why couldn't he just kick out? Exactly. So you start to do this thing where you're not really benefiting anybody by having it end that way. And I don't know, the whole match just kind of felt like I'd seen everything before. They didn't do anything that was like, wow.
I was kind of taken aback by the fact that you have these two crazed individuals in a holiday-themed match, and no matter how much they went into like the violent direction, they're still surrounded by candy canes and Christmas trees and lights and ornaments and gifts and bright colors and bows and stuff like that. And something that I've noticed, picking up off of something that you said, Duke, they go to this well very frequently when it comes to Dean Ambrose. And I've kind of noticed that. And then I look at some of his regular matches in WWE, and like I said before, Dean Ambrose, he doesn't have that stellar of a moveset. He's not some technician in the ring. He's a great brawler, and I think that this is just WWE playing to his strengths. But I think the more they go in that direction, the less impact that it actually has. So that's something that you do have to question moving forward. Maybe you want to save that for those special spots. We don't need to see it every week or even every other week.
I think that with the candy canes around, they did it for the irony. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I wasn't saying like it was bad. It's just we've seen it all before. I've seen that was pretty much TLC, except they wrapped everything in candy canes and gave them slightly different spots. So you saw them jump off a ladder onto a table and break through it at the end.
I mean, like Bray Wyatt, with the candy canes holding and stuff. I thought that was ironic because you would never expect somebody like that of his character and Dean Ambrose to, to even, look at the film.
Oh, that makes sense then.
I think it kind of worked. I mean, if I had it my way, I just would have had Bray Wyatt win and the show with his foot on Ambrose's chest and saying, "Screw you all. Happy holidays. I hope you all get coal. Good night."
I'd have him cut a promo all
just like that.
Christmas. I would have had him cut a way worse. I would have had him cut that promo on Christmas, except amp it up and then I would have him end it by like finding some sort of a hat or something that I'm like in the ring or something like that, putting it on his head, and then just laughing right over Dean Ambrose's body, like David said, kind of giving you that chilling little bit of a thing as the lights and just like a spotlight illuminate him. Because I mean, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna have him lose, why not just have him make some sort of a big impact on it too?
Yeah, I don't necessarily. Image. I do agree with you, Duke. I don't like the whole non-decisive 50-50, everybody wins philosophy. I think that good people always lose. Wrestlers have always lost. Hulk Hogan lost to Ultimate Warrior in the main event of WrestleMania. It's okay to lose and, go home. People aren't going to suddenly... If the people hate you after you lose, they weren't really your fans to begin with, because Shawn Michaels, I always loved him, and he lost a lot more than he won from what I could remember, but I didn't care because Shawn Michaels was really cool, and he carved that niche. I actually think that he was more popular for losing than he was winning in '96. So, that's just my take on it.
Well, alrighty then. Next up, we are going to move on to the 2014 PWF Empire Year-End Awards, a.k.a. the Dubbies. And if you guys are wondering where we got that Dubby name from, I have absolutely no idea. But,
Really?
I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah. What are you saying? Like, I don't know where we got that from. I'm just regular old Jay over here, so...
Okay.
We want you to forget just like WWE does.
Yes, like Cesaro. Big E. Just there. I'm just Jay.
What's a Langston?
I would like to let you all know that voting for the W's has officially began as of this very second. So if you want to head over to pwfempire.com and cast your votes, you're more than welcome to do that. Yes, that's it. We've made our picks, and you guys are free to make yours. Head over to pwfempire.com/W's to vote in the 2014 Year-End Awards. And we'll be back at you next week with another plethora of categories. We have a lot more to discuss on the front of the best in 2014, and I guess we'll see you next time. On behalf of all of my co-hosts, Duke, David, Manny, I am Jay. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.